All right, so welcome everybody to LivePeer AI from 0 to 1. This is your AI developer workshop designed to kind of get you started, get you hitting the ground running so you can start building right away. A little bit more detail here. Software requirements, obviously some kind of computer. We're going to be using Visual Studio Code in the screenshots that I provided, but some kind of editor. The code that I'll be sharing and working with is compatible with Node v20 or later. We're using JavaScript, TypeScript, and kind of ecosystem tools. So I recommend that you have some intermediate level experience with JavaScript, familiarity with the terminal, and for building out the application, obviously, maybe some HTML, CSS. So here's an outline of what we will cover today. I've broken it down into 4 sections. First, I'm going to introduce you to LivePeer AI, give you some examples of what it's capable of. Then we'll transition into setting up the sample repository. This is a very lightweight, very simple example of how to actually start interacting with LivePeer AI. And then step 3, actually interacting with the AI models. And then step 4 is build an application. And I've got some more examples for you there. But first, who am I? As I said earlier, my name is Karbon Dallas. Been doing developer relations for over a decade at this point, which always makes me feel old to say. I have an open source web background. I've been doing startups since, a long time ago. I've also worked for big companies like Salesforce, Microsoft, Discord, Twitch, even did a short stint at Coinbase as well. And you can find me as Karbon Dallas on social media. So Twitter, GitHub, LinkedIn, Telegram. So let's get introduced to LivePeer AI. What is LivePeer AI? Well, it's first of all, it's decentralized and open source. We're designing this to be a decentralized alternative to the incumbents that you may be more familiar with. And I'm particularly excited to bring this to you because this is very early in our AI product launch. So I would consider this beta. A lot of the capabilities that we're working with, we're just now shipping. We're still shipping new pipelines as well. And you can help build ones. Perhaps you have an idea for a model that you found on Hugging Face that you think would be really great for your project. Let us know. And then also I want to plug the developer bounty program that we have on our GitHub. This is run by our AI SPE team, and SPE stands for Special Purpose Entity. And you can earn LPT, LivePeer token, for completing bounties and providing code. So for example, we've had people working on Farcaster applications. We've had people building out the documentation. We've had people just building other cool applications that demonstrate the capabilities of LivePeer AI. Currently, we have generally available for folks to use text to image, image to image, image to video, audio to text, image upscaling, and image segmentation. We do have some LLM capabilities that we're working on getting online as well. So if that's of interest to you, let us know, and we'll get you connected with information necessary to work with LLMs. And by the way, all the images that I've paired these slides with were generated using LivePeer AI. So I just thought it might be a nice, fun visual aid. I'm always a big fan of the pseudo-English that these models come up with. So as you can see, AI capabilities include Malconting and Spencer, Clark. Anyway, so let's go through just real quick some kind of tips, some things to keep in mind as you're working with the different pipelines, as we call them. So with text to image, obviously you're going to be providing a text prompt and you're going to get back a still image. Tips for success here is utilize the negative prompt. I can provide you with some examples of good negative prompts. Also try adjusting the image dimensions and make them only as large as you really need. That will speed up the generation. Then we've got image to image pipelines. Again, you're going to provide text, but also a prompt. and you're going to get back, again, still images. Tips for success here, and try adjusting the strength. Try using negative prompts again, and then take a look at the guidance scale. So you've got the text guidance scale and image guidance scale. And so a lot of tweaking in here will really kind of refine your results. Next, we have image to video. And again, you're going to provide an image and some parameters. This is all documented on our docs site, which there'll be a link to here later. It does generate short videos. And so, tips for success here is, adjust the video dimensions. There's some documentation on the video dimensions that work particularly well. Try working with different motion buckets. These are kind of just integers that define the style of motion that the video will generate, and also, adjust the noise augmentation. The one thing I will say, caveat here, is in my experience, our image to video pipelines are still, pretty early in their capabilities. So I'd be particularly interested in hearing feedback from y'all if you go down this route. Next, we have audio to text. So a lot of folks are familiar with the Whisper model. That's what we've deployed here. You provide a single audio file, and you're going to get back transcriptions. Tips for success here are very simple: minimize the background noise, and also be aware that certain types of encoding seem to generate errors. So if you're getting an error and you're not sure why, consider trying a different encoding mechanism or schema. So just a call out there. And last but not least, image upscaling. So this, provide an image as well as a text prompt that helps guide the upscaling. This will give you a 4x high-res image. It is using Stable Diffusion, and really the only tip for success here is just play with the text prompt, because it does have an impact on the results that you get. So this slide intentionally left blank. Give everyone a chance to breathe. I know that was a lot of information, but again, all of the stuff I covered here is on our docs site. I'm going to pause real quick and take a look at chat. So you have questions here. Oh, awesome. Looks like folks are answering them. Great. Yeah, perfect. Okay, nothing else to answer just yet. Is the microphone not clear? I'm sorry. I can turn up the audio a little bit. Let me know if that sounds any better. Cool. So, to get started, I'll get you set up with the sample repository. And the first step, as with just about anything, is to clone the repository on GitHub. So if you head over to github.com/Karbon Dallas, you will find the workshop 0 to 1 repository. And so just clone that wherever you like. And again, that's github.com/Karbon Dallas. Workshop-0-2-1. I'll give folks a minute to do that as well. Okay, so obviously once you've got the repository on your local file system, you want to install the dependencies. And again, we're using Node, we're using NPM. Hopefully you have version 20 or later installed. If not, no problem, this is recorded. So you can always come back if you miss any of these steps. But here's what that looks like. I'm using NPM. You might use Yarn or PNPM or one of the other package managers, but as you can see in this repository, it is just one simple dependency, and it's the LivePeer AI package. Once you've done that, go ahead and open your editor. And that might look something like this. I've put a few notes in here in the README. Primarily, the thing I want to point out to you is that we have the notion of warm and cold models. So, a warm model is one that's online, it's loaded into VRAM, and it's ready to go. A cold model is one that can be loaded up on demand, but it will take a bit longer to process your request. So my recommendation is that you primarily stick to using the warm models. And you'll see in the README a list of suggested models for each of the pipelines. And again, I'll pause there. I'm going to check for questions. Big shout out to everyone answering questions in the chat. I really appreciate that. How is my mic sounding, by the way? I know someone earlier mentioned that the mic is not particularly clear. Any better? Can I improve it at all? Okay, thanks, Sam. Cool. Thanks, Adrian. Appreciate it. Okay, so at any point, if you're falling behind, feel free to just message chat. I'll keep checking to see if anyone is stuck. But assuming everyone's caught up, we'll move on. So once you've got everything installed, you've checked out the repository, you've installed the one whole dependency that we have in this project, you'll be able to start interacting with the models right away. So here's a quick view of the text to image. So as you can see on line 1, importing LivePeer from LivePeer AI. At LivePeer is our org name. Simple AI is the name of the module. On lines 3 to 5, we're creating a new instance of the LivePeer AI. And as you can see on line 4, there is room for you to place an HTTP bearer token. It is blank in this example. It's not required at the moment, but one thing that would be helpful is if you just put some unique string in there. Could be your name, could be anything. It'll help us with tracking statistics and everything. And as you can see on lines 7 through 14, I've defined an async function called run. And all it does is create a result variable that calls the LivePeer AI generate text to image function. And it's just a prompt, model ID, image dimensions. And the documentation, I'll link to that here shortly. There are other parameters available for the various models, but these are the required ones. One thing to call out here, you may run into an instance where you're getting like a 503 error, service unavailable. I find that most commonly happens if you forgot to provide the model ID or if the model that you've chosen is not currently available. So keep that in mind. And that can be a little confusing. And again, I'll pause here just to check chat and see if there's any questions. Yep, so questions like, can we do parallel requests? Yes, you can. I won't go into all the details here, but that's kind of one of the great things about a decentralized protocol is, your requests are getting kind of farmed out to the nodes that are available. In my experience for the warm models that I'm suggesting for for text to image, you most likely shouldn't be waiting more than 15-20 seconds for an image. Some of the models are a little slower, like the Flux 1 dev model is going to take a little bit longer, and that's just due to the really interesting work that has been put into getting that model to run on our current infrastructure. So that's a model that typically would require a much larger GPU, but the AISPE team has done some quite impressive work to get it to run across multiple GPUs. It is one of the slower models. It's one without as much capacity, but it does have some interesting results. So each request will go to a single node, but you can just split your requests up into like multiple requests to add some parallelism. Sorry, parallelization. And I'll link you to some code that makes use of that. Cool. So as you can see here in the source, I've just provided you with 3 examples. These are basically just cribbed right out of the documentation for the LivePeer AI module. The documentation is actually pretty great, although I am super interested in hearing your feedback. So any gotchas, anything that's unclear, please send that my way. We'll move on to the next step. So presumably, hopefully I'm not rushing you too much, but presumably you've been able to check the repository out, install the dependencies, and try running some of these single purpose JavaScript files. Obviously that's not enough. We got to actually build something, right? So here's an example application that you can try out if you like. It's live at story.akasha.live. And you can either follow along at home or wherever you are, or you can take a look here. What I've done with this is tried to provide a still relatively simple, but full-featured end-to-end example application. It's built with Next.js. It allows you to have folks sign in with Discord. This is one of the recommendations I've made to folks is to help kind of with demand. Is limit a lot of the inference calls that you're making to folks that have provided some kind of sign-in, and that will help a little bit with with your rate limits. But a user can log in with their Discord account, and they can generate a story, and along with it some images. And again, like I mentioned, this is live. It's available for you to try out in your browser if you like at story.akasha.live. And this is an application built using Node, Next.js. I've split it into 2 repositories. So we've got the front end, again, using Next.js, NextAuth to provide you with that Discord login. It's written in TypeScript. We're using Tailwind, Radix, ESLint, Prettier, all the good stuff. And the back end is a little simpler, but because of the need for WebSockets to stream in the LLM responses, we've built this as a separate backend. This is using TypeScript, Fastify for the web server, and obviously uses WebSockets, and of course LivePeer AI for generating the images. Steps for getting started with these is just clone both of the repositories, and there's a pretty robust set of READMEs in there that'll help you get started. The only real challenging thing for some folks is to get the certificates installed. If you're going to deploy this to production, you will need to use SSL, but I've provided instructions for doing that as well using Let's Encrypt. So all of the repositories that I've shown you here are available on my GitHub, Karbon Dallas. And that's Storytime front end, which looks like this. Storytime backend, which looks like this. And I'm going to pause here again just to check chat and see how things are going. I'm loving all the chat here. You guys have got some great questions, and thanks again to the SPE folks for jumping in there. Yeah, Robert, to your question, I would suggest starting with the workshop 0 to 1 repository. That is just plain JS. I wrote it specifically in plain JS and made it as simple as possible, just for folks in that situation who don't want to use serverless frameworks, anything like that. And if you'd like some additional guidance, happy to put some time on the calendar with you and chat through. Oh yeah. Yeah, so you can tell I'm a developer advocate, not a production engineer. I didn't really think too much about scaling, and I underestimated how many requests y'all are going to be generating. So yeah, taking a look at the logs, it looks like we timed out, but I've booted back up, and it should be running with a little bit more capacity. Thank you for calling that out. But if it is over capacity, like I said, the repository is available for you to run locally. The steps are very easy to get it up and running. I want to move on now and talk about project categories. We touched on this a little bit earlier in the introduction, but I kind of want to talk a little bit more, give you some color around the kinds of stuff that we're looking for, hopefully give you some good ideas to work from. So as we mentioned, category 1, social media applications. So this is something, that's maybe got some viral potential, something that end users can appreciate. So an example of this might be, like an AI photo booth, right? Connect to their webcam, pull in a still, send that through. Something like that might have a lot of potential. We'd love to see something like that. Category 2 is developer tools. So a good example of this might be something, say like an AI workbench. This is something I personally feel would be a really great addition. If you're going to build something that makes it easy and kind of like a web UI to allow developers to kind of tweak, parameters, models, that kind of thing. I think that'd be a really great value add for the ecosystem. Category 3 is creator tools. So, in my mind, there's a lot you can do here, but maybe you build an application that integrates with OBS. I think a good use case for something like this might be, let's say you build a tool for content creators who are doing some kind of like tabletop RPG. Maybe that's Dungeons and Dragons or something like that. You could build a tool that makes it easy for viewers to participate in creating the visuals that that the streamer can then bring on to the stream and composite into the content that they're producing. I think that would be particularly interesting. So ideas like that, I think, are likely to do well. Now let's talk about price structure. I did mention this early on. I didn't realize we were going to cover that. I probably should have, but I wanted to make sure that it's very clear. We've got a first place prize of 2,000 USD, second place prize of 1,000 USD, third place prize of 500 USD, and again, that is in each category. So a total of 9 winners, over 10,000 USD. I'm really excited to see what y'all build. Pause again and take a look at chat. That's right, Robert. That is the correct repo. Now, again, there are 2. I've got a slide here at the end that will list everything out, all the links that we mentioned. So, Razvan, what I would suggest is just simply run node source / text to image.js. And I can show you what that looks like here in just a moment if you like. So just to wrap up real quick, this has been From 0 to 1, AI Developer Workshop. Here's what we covered. Just a brief introduction to LivePeer AI, getting started with the sample repository, interacting with the AI models, and hopefully getting started with building an application. We touched on this also at the beginning, but I will be available for questions throughout the duration of the hackathon, both in the Encode Discord as well as the LivePeer Discord. It's likely valuable to be in the LivePeer Discord as well. There's a lot of context and information pertaining to some of the questions I saw in chat, like how do the orchestrators work, what are folks building, that kind of stuff. You can make requests for models that you think would work well with your application ideas, and we're prepared to help spin up capacity on things that are going to help unlock some cool hacks for y'all. One request I have, like I mentioned earlier, is please send your feedback. This is our very first hackathon. when it comes to LivePeer AI. And as I mentioned, we're very new to a lot of these features. Some of the stuff we've just recently brought online. So we're super excited to see what you build. But we'd also really love your feedback. Please don't hold back if there's things that are unclear. If you run into gotchas, we'd really love to hear about it. And we're committed to improving the quality of our documentation and other support material. So please hop on Discord. You can get to our Discord, discord.gg/livepeer. And here are all of the links. Feel free to screenshot this if you like. This covers all three of the repositories, the documentation, and then the live example, which is, I guess I'll have to work on the capacity for that because, yeah, y'all are putting it through its paces. Perfect. Thank you, Rebecca. So let me jump in real quick to show one of the questions, or to answer one of the questions here. How are we on time, by the way? I saw someone pop up. I don't want to go over time, but I do want to answer a question real quick. Okay, cool. Awesome, Rezvan. Let me pull this up for you. If I've got a repository, I've got my terminal here. This is going to just simply run that request that you see in that async function. It is currently using the Black Forest Labs Flux 1 dev model, which is, like I said, one of the slower ones. But if you take a look down here, there's some other models you can use. This is a great one, especially for kind of doing the initial beta work where the actual results aren't as important. So you could come in here, change the model. And then, so that's what this looks like here. I really do love the results. Yeah, so the SDK for the AI portion of LivePeer is available. You can install it from npm. So right down here. So you can just npm install at LivePeer/AI, which is the same that we've listed on line 13 here. And this is a recent creation of ours. It's a partnership between LivePeer Studio team and the LivePeer AI SBE. So it is very young, but it's been generated using Speakeasy. So it's pretty robust. I'm just using the JavaScript TypeScript SDK, but it is also available in Python. If you prefer working with snakes, that's totally fine as well. Someone asked about negative prompts. Let me pull that up for you. Give you a good example here. So this you can find in Storytime Backend. Now, I wrote this before we released our SDK, and I haven't refactored it yet. So it'll be easier for you. But you just provide the negative prompt as a parameter. And let me see if I can find, I'll provide a link to this in the Discord as well. But if you take a look under .env.example, line 5 gives you a pretty good negative prompt for use with RealVizXL. So this is one that was suggested by the model author. So this will help, as you can see, avoid things like deformed hands, weird looking eyes, that kind of stuff. So Robert, to your question, there should be images popping up at the end of the story. They do sometimes take a while to show up, but I can can show that as well if you'd like. So as I showed in the screenshots, you log in with Discord. You can pick a genre. Let's go with apocalypse now. The world has ended. This is how Karbon Dallas died. Put a space between my name just for fun. And it's going to stream in the LLM response. No worries, Robert. I have the same problem sometimes. I'm like, uh-oh, is it going to work? Don't we all? So apparently this is what the AI thinks I look like. It's pretty cool. Ooh, yeah. Gruesome. So we can do, so let's say I'll do like a romance. No, let's not do that. Let's do a classic drama. Karbon Dallas has just presented a workshop to the fine folks of the Code Club. In the bustling city of Encode Club, where technology and innovation reign supreme, Karbon Dallas stood before a crowd of eager minds. His workshop on quantum computing had drawn in the brightest minds from across the city, all hungry for knowledge and inspiration. Karbon was known for his revolutionary ideas and unorthodox methods, which had earned him a reputation as a maverick in the tech world. I like this. A pretty realistic image, too. You can see my name up there. Oh, I love this. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, Karbon is done. I mean, you know, in the end, it is true. Yeah, it's yeah, this is using the lightning model that I mentioned from, I believe, ByteDance. This might be the SG one. Let me see where I left that. Yeah, that's the one, Tobias. Let's see. I forgot what else I was going to show y'all. Are there any outstanding questions that I did not get to? Well, the one thing I thought might be interesting is I added just a tiny little script to help with workshopping your prompts. Where is it here? So if you look in bin TTI, at least for folks on Unixy systems, you can, that's a good prompt. Anyone have a good prompt idea? I've run out of ideas. I usually ask other AIs for my prompt ideas, if I'm being honest. Oh, heck yeah. All right, I like that. A large, can't type, large frog programming Node.js. Oh, this is using, I love it, Ribbit. Yeah, so this one's a little faster, but we'll try this next. Come in here, plop that down. And we'll wait. We're patient, right? Yeah, sorry about the mic issues, Robert. This is my first time using Livestorm, and I typically have my mic set up in a completely different way. So I did my best to do an audio check beforehand. Oh, wow. That is actually quite good. I don't see any Node.js, but that is definitely a big frog. And just for comparison's sake, we can run this again using the RealViz XL. And you can get a sense for the difference in how long the request takes to fulfill. But there we go. There we go. Now we're getting the Node.js, standard issue MacBook, Office plant, nice monitors as well. Now, keep in mind, these are non-upscaled images, right? So what you might find yourself doing is, picking the image that you like the best and then running that through an upscaler. And that's what this would look like as well. Again, with the prompt. Yeah, good question, Robert. Let me pull that up for you. So here is where you'll find the prompt combinations, and that's in the Storytime backend. Yeah, so the last frog that we just showed, this guy here, was generated with with these parameters here. So using SG161222 RealVisXL, and you can copy paste that out of the README here, and the rest just default parameters. So didn't change any of the guidance scale or anything. But to answer your other question, in Storytime backend, this does use what I believe is a slightly outdated prompting technique. As I understand, like role-based prompts are less effective than they used to be, but this still seems to have pretty decent results. So this is the system prompt, and then here are the prompt additional like kind of genre prompts. Some of them I put a caveat in just because for example, if you do the magic prompt, a story set in a whimsical wizarding world where magic is real, the model was almost always talking about a place called Eldoria or Valoria. So I just kind of hacked that out of it with a caveat. So other things to call out here, in terms of the handlers, the way that the Storytime backend works is you've got different handlers for different pieces of the pie. So generate images here. Again, this was before our SDK was released, so I'm just doing raw, API requests. And then the only other thing, and nothing particularly interesting to call out here, other than this does save all of the image URLs that you generate and the metadata into an outputs folder. So you can go back and take a look at the stuff that you generated. You don't lose it, but that is local to the backend server. So I'll pause there for any other questions. But unless anyone has anything else to say, I think that pretty much concludes our little workshop. I think, to be honest, Robert, we will be using a panel of judges, and all three categories are pretty important to kind of building out the ecosystem. So, as a developer, obviously I might be a little biased to dev tools. That is definitely something we're really lacking in, but viral potential is big. LivePeer at its core is really, built to serve content creators. So the creator tools is also a great category. I know that's pretty much a non-answer, but I think you have a good shot regardless of which category you go for. So with that, I'll hand it over back to you, Adriana. Thank you.
Okay, amazing. Thank you very much, Karbon. That was super interesting, very informative. So if there aren't any more questions, we will wrap up for today. All the sessions are recorded and uploaded on our YouTube. We'll post the link in the Hack Pack and also send them on Discord. Thank you, Karbon, for your session. And thank you very much, everyone else, for joining. We're super excited to see what you guys come up with. And yeah, make sure to tag us in anything if you do post anything online. Don't forget that the mid-submission deadline is next Sunday. And our next workshop is this Wednesday. And we'll be sending out reminders before then. Okay, so if that is everything. Oh, yes. Yeah, of course you can.
Yes,
oh. Amazing. There you go. The stage is yours.
Background so I can blur it for everyone. So I, just wanted to thank everyone for joining. I'm N, pronouns are they, them, and I'm the program manager here at LivePeer. Excited to be working with Encode, Adriana and Amji and everyone else, and of course our partners. Excited to work with them as well. Just a little addition on our end. So, there's so many great prizes for the hackathon. In addition, we have a grant program at LivePeer that encourage folks who make super cool projects that are incorporating LivePeer AI to apply to that. And there will be more funding there for folks to potentially continue their project after the hackathon ends. So keep that in mind. Yes, I can send the link right now in chat. 1 second. Right now, we don't have the AI listed on the grant program because it just launched at token 2049. So you can just apply to whatever tier you feel fits and just specify in your application that it's for AI. Okay, here you go, Robert. So yeah, just wanted to boost that before we all hopped off. Thank you.
No, thank you. Yes, that is very important information and very exciting for all of you hackers. Okay, so perfect. I think that is all. Thank you all again for coming. Thank you, Karbon and LivePeer, of course. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you all on Wednesday.